Hello.
Hello, hello.
How is everyone?
Good.
Hey guys.
That's good. Happy Wednesday. Luke, do you want to kick us off with a bit of a roundup?
Yeah, so yeah, sure. This week, it's less about stuff, features we're piling on top on top of the vault, and more about just, I think, taking stock of what we've done and celebrating some milestones. We've had a few milestones this week. The one we know about, obviously, is hitting the Apple Store and getting into the production store there, which is yeah, I think I've already said this, but it's something I didn't expect to happen so soon. We thought a couple of those last hurdles would be bigger than they actually were, but it just came down to focus and determination and just spending some time on it, just giving it that attention and focus that it needed. So that was really exciting. We've created over 100 builds now. Today we got build 101, and it's in actual fact, some of these builds are A's and B's and C's, so we're actually well over the 100 mark, but we've officially hit that 100 build mark. And some of you have probably seen that we've gone over the 1,000 download mark on SideQuest as well. So yeah, it's been a big week for really cool milestones, and I think it's set us up well in the right mindset anyway for the next phase. So what we're working on at the moment is there'll be a new build really shortly, like in the next. We've got it internally. We've got one minor tweak that we have to do to the skyboxes, which is around making those publicly available, so that if someone else comes into your apartment, they are not only displayed for them, but they're saved and they survive reinstalls and all that sort of stuff. So that's the last little touch we've got to do. We've done half of that work. We're just going to finish that off now. We've also made some changes which are very subtle, and I won't go into them now, but they'll hopefully help us get through the Oculus Store approval. So part of this, one of the things we want to do during this period of stability, and we really want to take advantage of that, and I'm going to have another stab at the Oculus Store. We've done a lot of work as a team to really prepare ourselves for that, as we did with the Apple Store, but at the end of the day, it's just a battle that you have to fight, and I think we're ready to attempt that. But so we're going to have another go and devote some time to that. We're not underestimating how big that's going to be, and in some respects, it's probably going to be harder than the Apple Store because of how few apps get approved. It's such a small amount that actually get through. So we'll give it a go, and our promise is not that we'll get on there, but we'll give it our best shot. So, as I said, there's just a few items we need to get into this build, and we'll get that out. And then the idea then is that we'll be keeping this as stable as possible, which means not making short-term changes to the build. There'll be stuff coming up, and we're about to go into a new program increment, and we will be working on new things, but a lot of them will be fringe items and things that are external to the actual client builds. So what we're going to focus on, instead of necessarily building out the client app, is working on the web portal. So there's a lot of stuff we want to do to the web portal. There's some really cool AI stuff we're going to introduce there as well. RFOX ID improvements, which are more just about, again, setting us up for the next step. SDK improvements, which we've kind of touched on before. And we're doing some work around customer retention and giving users more reason to come in and spend time in the vault, to try and just get that, try and populate it and make sure that when people do go in, there are other people in there or at all times. But we're not just talking about experiences and games and things like that. I'll leave it there for now, but we're working on a lot of different angles to try and bolster that and get not only those new users and the downloads up, but also make people want to return and give them reasons to return. And that's pretty much it, I think, from my side. But I kind of wanted to set that scene that we are working on some external things, and over the next short period, you're not going to see a lot of big feature changes in the Vault. But I think that's actually a good thing, because I think we just all want to have that stable environment, not have to worry about crashes and bugs, and hopefully Canny doesn't get too much of a workout in the short term. It's been pretty quiet, so we're very happy to see that. But yeah, I think that's it for me. I don't know if Red Pill or Phil or anyone else want to add anything. Cool. Pete, have you got anything you want to add?
Nothing much. I mean, next week we're doing the KOGs since Phil's not here. So next week we're doing the change to the KOGs Quest wallet, where you could get all the dragons instead of just one dragon every week. We've been doing it for 2 rounds already, so it's time that we do a single wallet where containing all 5 dragons. We're also looking at putting in various other prizes alongside the KOGs Quest KOGs. And when I say various other prizes, I mean like packs. Sprinkle a bit of packs in there, so if you're lucky enough to hit those, then you get a pack.
Thanks, Pete.
That's on the KOGs Quest side of things. And then, of course, I think the next Zodiac-Libra will come out in a few days. 23rd, I believe.
Yep, Saturday for us.
Yeah, Saturday morning. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna miss that.
Yeah, I'll be there in the meeting room
When I say miss that, I mean miss the low mints. I'll by the time I wake up the kids and all that, I'll probably get the high mints.
You can say you'll be washing your hair, but that doesn't work for me, Pete. I can't use that.
No,
well, I can use it for people
hate,
that bullshit.
I hate Saturday launches because I always forget.
I know.
You laughed
It's
too
always
hard at that
scary.
one, Lala.
I guess it's like this would be like probably the third time I'll be in the meeting room alone waiting for Pete, and it's like after lunch, like, oh my god, guys, I'm sorry. It's like a kid's had something. It's always the kids. I kind of pity your kids, man.
Yeah, of course. It's always the kids.
And just before I hand back to Ben, sorry, did you have anything, Lala, just while we're here? Or are you going to do that later?
Well, I guess for me right now, I just want to thank everyone who has shared their experiences, especially on mobile and social media. I really appreciate it. And that we still have the RFOX Run contest ongoing. I think PJ still holds the crown at 97 for his points. That's for mobile. We haven't crowned a VR high score just yet. I think Rect got like 35 or 40. So we're still looking for the champions for those particular games, and whoever does reach the champion spot will be winning either Cogsback, Citizens, or an AI-powered apartment. So make sure to share your scores. You can share it here if you don't have social media. That's totally fine. But we want to make sure that we crown the right champion because we may change your title on Discord. So you have bragging
Okay,
rights for a couple of hours.
I'll get my kids to play it for me.
Oh Lord. You're gonna bring out the bots. There we go.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, that's pretty much it for me. But again, we will be doing a lot more events with the brand ambassador. So stay tuned for more details. And when that happens, just feel free to hop in and socialize with everybody. That's it for me.
Hey, Luke. Z-Train is asking when is fishing coming to the vault.
I thought that was you asking, Pete. My mistake.
No. Z-Train
How dare
says
you,
that.
Pete? How dare you?
He just said he likes it. He doesn't want it in the vault. I
It'd
will
be very
answer that.
relaxing.
Yeah, it is very relaxing. It might be too relaxing to have people falling asleep in there. I don't know if avatars can sleep yet, but that might be cool. Before I go back to Ben, I'll just answer Atesh's question, why so few apps get into the Quest Store. I think the main difference, and I mean, some of this is kind of fresh because we've just gone through this with the Apple Store, but a lot of the stuff they're pushing back on in the Apple Store is the same as the stuff they were pushing back on the Oculus Store. But I think the main difference and the thing that really makes it hard for people is with VR. Obviously, we've talked about this before, where you're basically you're doing everything twice. So any heavy assets you're loading, or images you're rendering, things like that, you're doing it twice, and you're doing it twice on a device that is basically similar power to a phone, but they expect it to run the same way. They've got really strict performance requirements, and that's why a lot of these apps that call themselves metaverses, or some of them don't, but people sort of categorize them as metaverses, don't have big heavy scenes that you spawn into. They'll have a small room with some menus around it, and you kind of you'll basically have a list of things you can jump into, and it's kind of a just a launch pad to smaller experiences where they can keep the frame rates up high and keep the performance really high, and that's how they get approved. And I think it's not just a design thing. I think it's actually deliberate, because that's really how you get through. And for us to go into this this opening scene with a huge vista and complicated LODs where you can see into the distance, and you've got these multiple levels of detail. You can see basically every asset at once. That's very, very heavy, but that is the whole thing, right? We're not compromising on that stuff. So there are ways to improve that. There are ways to sort of trick the user to still make it feel like that, but not have to render everything at once. And we've started some of that stuff, and the kind of gains you need to satisfy the requirements of the store are huge. So we've got some ideas, and I think we can get around that in the approval process to some extent. And it's not about even getting around it so much. It's just about how it's all framed and how you answer the questions and what you're presenting. And I think all those things make a big difference. A lot of the things that we've sort of dealt with on the Apple Store will translate well to the Oculus Store. So, and that's kind of what I said before. I don't think this is a silver bullet necessarily, but we've got some ideas, and we've got some fresh experience now about how to answer those questions and how to try and improve our chances of getting on. So we're going to have another stab at it. But yeah, I think that's the crux of it. And going through this and then going back and looking at the other projects and thinking about what they've done to get on there, it becomes more and more obvious as you do it. And you can see how they've had to modify things to get through. But again, we're not compromising. This is it. It has to be an open world experience. That's the whole point of it, and we're definitely not compromising on that. So we'll do what we can to get on there, and then and we'll go from there. But we'll keep you posted, and we're going to invest a bit of time in it. As I said, now that's a bit of a quiet period, we've probably had a better chance now. We've probably got a better chance now than we ever have of actually throwing some resources and some time at this and having a really good go at it. So fingers crossed, we'll come back with more info once we've had put our submission in, which we're going to try and do this week. But we may not know by next Wednesday. But if we do, obviously, we'll give you an update then. Back to you, Ben.
Thanks, mate. So as you can see, lots happening. And as Luke said, from the roll-up perspective, having that stable build means it's good for us to be able to experiment with different ways to get people in. I think we might have mentioned it last week, but we've sort of also internally put forward some really exciting suggestions for stuff we can do at this current state in the Vault, just to sort of test things out more, to try the scaling and the socializing, targeted times for people to come in so that there is more people in there using. And as we've seen on other apps, as I was mentioning earlier today, is that you look at VR chat and some of these other platforms, and they'll have like a room with a bed in it, for example, and you've got tons of people in there talking to each other, and there's not a lot of features on some of those particular rooms or worlds, and yet they've become popular social spaces. So I think now it's an opportunity for us to sort of showcase what we've currently got, get people in there and looking around, and like I said, that like was said earlier, the milestones of getting more and more users in there, 1,000 on side quest alone. It's starting to sort of, the numbers are sort of starting to get up, and as Luke said, trying to do some events to make sure that people are targeted to be in there at certain times, so that we've got more and more natural and organic growth through users getting in there, having a good time, and then coming back again is really, really important. Now to ask a couple of questions, because I know we're going to get in there soon-ish. Artesh asked, with all of Binance's problems, what is RFOX contingency plan if activity on BSC drops and no one wants to use the chain and turning into a ghost chain? The thing is that we've always got other options, obviously, of course, but ultimately, I don't know how many times we've been through Binance type of FUD stories. I think they've been happening since when did it join? 2017, I think it was. There's been FUD stories ever since it started, and I'm not saying that each round is less significant or they don't pile up or whatever, but ultimately things still exist until they don't, and all it takes is one person to do something significant on one of these chains and they take off. But ultimately, there's a lot of fighting and a lot of loose thread pulling with people trying to unpull each other at this particular point in time. And I mean, I saw some posts in the last week talking about how it's a very animalistic world and everybody's after everybody in Web3. I mean, you look at Web 2, you've got Elon Musk and Zuckerberg trying to get in a cage and take each other's heads off. I mean, it's everywhere. Politics. It's just it's a very tricky space to navigate around at the moment. So I think the answer is, Artesh, we've always sort of had that cloud looming. We don't know what's going to happen, but we obviously keep an eye on it and try not to speculate too much in relation to which way it'll go. But ultimately, they're the biggest. They've found many ways before, and I'm sure that that'll probably keep happening. Did I miss any more? I think so, just up there. Someone asked previously, I'm just trying to find it as well. So in relation to the bridge as well, I can see that there's some comments in relation to that. Yeah. The thing is that you've always got those types of issues, because if someone sets one of those things up, and it was originally done by, through Andre Cogne's code, but the thing is that if someone adds you to a bridge or adds a contract on another side, you can effectively do that to any token on any network, and it doesn't require the project to be involved sometimes, that people just get added to stuff. And the danger always is that, as is stated above, and again, I won't speculate on what happened there, but obviously people that have access have disappeared or not been forthcoming in fixing the problems, and therefore a lot of people get duped. I'm not sure what the latest amount is. Pete, have you checked lately? But there's a ton of money on that bridge from all the different tokens.
Yeah, a ton of money is correct, but I haven't checked in a while.
I know there was $500 million at some stage. I'm sure there's probably, I don't know what the market's worth now, but it's a lot of money on those chains. I mean, it's just a crappy situation. Maybe someone can check while we're talking. In relation to the other question I was going to ask was, let me just find it. RFOX Run. Oh, that Lala, you addressed that before. One of the questions I got asked was, will there be a difference between the VR version and the mobile version of RFOX Run. I'm assuming they mean for scores.
Yep, that would be. I
Um,
mean, it's definitely harder for VR if you have a VR headset with you. But yes, there will be 2 different streams of winners.
Okay, that's good. And you mentioned previously that you would do tournaments, or there could be tournaments. What will they be for? Which games? So having a leaderboard system will allow us to be able to do that. It wouldn't really, Luke, maybe you want to, I don't know if you want to weigh in on that one, but ultimately, leaderboards will allow us to be able to, and we've got leaderboards on Quest, obviously, but a leaderboard system in the Vault. Do you want to just elaborate a little bit on that, Luke? I know we've touched on it several times before, but for those who don't know.
Yep. So we've got the framework in the client, in the actual Vault app to implement it, but there's work that needs to be done, especially from a configuration standpoint, to get it to work on the back end. There's some other factors that need to be taken into account. Things like logging of that data, and displaying of that data, resetting. It's quite complicated, and there's more to it than people probably realize. But we can put steps in place to get towards that without having to do the full-blown implemented in-game leaderboards. That will be obviously the final goal. So we can do things where we're actually capturing events along the way, and figuring out who winners are and when they won and how many times they've won. We can do a lot of that stuff in the back end and still issue rewards and still keep a record of who is where and still celebrate those wins without having to do a lot of that work. So that's kind of what we're looking at the moment. How can we create some steps towards that so we can do it quickly, and get some of those things happening without having to do the full implementation, which again is going to take time. And there's a lot of competing things that we need to do, and they all seem very important and high priority. So if we can do some of this work in parallel and get some of these things happening, sort of almost straight away, then that's definitely the road we'll take.
Oh, there you go. Pete's given an update as well. 27 million USD on ETH BSC multi-chain bridge. This is only one bridge pair. Yeah, geez, there's a lot of money still in there. Obviously, it's worth a lot less than it was previously, but it's still like ridiculous amounts of money.
Yeah, that is
So
based on existing prices of the tokens.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
at the peak is a lot more than that.
Yeah, there was a $500 million stuck there at one stage I saw, but I'm not sure how much of that was able to be removed. Adelaide, this sort of follows on from yours. You made a psychedelic retreat to promote the Vault in the PA community. Awesome. I'll check that out. It flows on to one of the other questions I got asked is, and we talked about this kind of internally, and it's been floated around. When competition for best apartment, there's lots of things that we could do there. I think once the Skybox, people get used to using backgrounds and all the rest of it, we've seen some pretty amazing ones been made. I think who was it? Was it Ziggy that made the Barbie one? That was pretty pink, wasn't it, during the week?
Yep, it was Ziggy.
It was Ziggy, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I saw it and I thought, oh my gosh, what's this? And then I went and had a really good look at it. It's actually pretty cool. I wouldn't mind seeing what those voice prompts were. The other one was it looks pretty. It's pretty well done, really, to be honest. Like how it grows over the top of the apartment and then goes down as well. It looks really good. Okay, so Pete, two more questions. So one of them is, what is the highest level somebody has got to in KOGs Quest? Has anybody finished the second time around?
The highest level for KOGs Quest is 240. And yes, there are many people who have completed the second time around.
So that means they've prestiged and they've gone through and they've cleared it again.
Correct. So you got to get to 240 first, and then a black hole opens, and then if if you click the black hole, say you're moving on to Game Plus where you can earn NFTs, blah blah blah, and then you have to play through the whole 240 levels again at a much higher difficulty, and of course that's when you can start earning NFTs. And yeah, I think we've got maybe 20 plus accounts that have reached 240. I'm one of them, obviously, but
No, they're saying, has anyone done it? Like, so you've prestige, you've got through 240. Have they got through the second lot of 240?
Yes, yes.
yes. I have gone through that. I have completed the second lot of 240.
So just so that I can answer that question for the person. So technically, let's just call that 480. What's the high score level? What's the furthest someone's gone through the third iteration then, or the third lot? Do you know, Phil?
Oh, there is no third lot, Benny. You can only do it twice. So 240 and then 240 in prestige, and then it stops there. So total 480 levels.
But
There's no 240 after that.
yeah,
Right.
because at that point people are just farming the NFTs. But there are a few people that could do it on a weekly basis, that can complete that 240 on every 5 days if they wanted to, looking at their behavior.
Jesus, they must be pretty bloody good at it. Wouldn't mind getting I should make some short videos on how they do that. George says one time Ziggy isn't in the AMA, and Benny mentions his name 3 times. He's doing some pretty good stuff like that. I'll pass on the comment to him because I thought it looked really, really good. Like I said, I was a bit adverse to the pink. I thought, oh gosh, here we go. And then I've gone in there and had a look, and it's actually really well done. I thought it was fantastic. I can't wait to see, once people understand that they can create those backgrounds and environments, and they do go in there and they muck around with it. It would be great to see a competition for who could create the best internal and external. We've all got different tastes and we've all got different styles, but again, if that's publicly judged, it would be great to see that on social media and have a ton of people talking about it, sharing and liking as well. Because realistically, the ability for people that are plonkers, ordinary people like myself, to be able to walk in there and create something pretty amazing with your voice is phenomenal. Okay, Phil, do you have any updates?
For Quest, no major updates, although next week we will be consolidating the rewards. So you'll be able to win any of the 5 released dragons. And me and Pete have been having some interesting conversations on what happens after that. So stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Awesome. Oh, and the other one was
Phil, should I ask the community the question that I asked earlier, the one where I say putting stupid things to give out?
I think it's too early, but all I can
It's
say
too
is
early.
you want to ask? Yeah, you should go for it.
Okay, I'll ask in chat and vote thumbs up if you guys want to see that, or thumbs down if you don't want to see that, right?
But the whole point of our discussions have been like, there's no reason we can't give any RFOX or KOGs related rewards. There's no reason we can't give any wax related rewards, right? So I think that's gonna be very interesting for people within wax. So
Okay, I've asked the question in chat, so just do a thumbs up or thumbs down.
yeah,
I want to see how many thumbs up or thumbs down do we get.
What you guys should realize is that you should try to get up and prestige now, because once we've launched that, you don't want to be going through that first 240 levels.
I'll tell you guys straight out. It was you guys that said to me, where a couple of you had asked me, "Are you playing? What level are you up to?" And I said I hadn't started playing Quest, and then one of you responded with, "It's your game." But I have started playing it, and I am prestiged, and I am up to I think close to 200 on the second time around. But the thing is, once you get the hang of it, and once you start playing it, and once you get into the habit, I'll do it first thing when I get up in the morning before I start work, and then one time before I go to bed. And it's really, really moreish once you get into it. You just got to understand all the little nuances and how you play and what you're supposed to be doing, and it becomes really, really fun. And it gets easier when you get better at it. Yeah, okay, so 4 ups and 1 down. And then the one question that we missed as well, so before we jump in, I know we're going to jump in, Luke, is the 100th build. Are we going to do anything for that? Someone's going to talk. Yep. No. So one of the things that we also, like I said, one of the things that we've been talking about internally is ideas put forward for what we could do at this stage. Some of them are requiring extra work to be done, but we're trying to work out activities, events, and things that can bring people in and keep bringing people back. As Luke said, one of the main focuses for us now is retention and making sure that users are coming in and they're engaged and people are having fun while they're doing that. That's extremely important, because once you finish those developer and creator tools, those creators will decide whether to create based on, seeing users in there and an audience to cater for. So those two things come together. So there's definitely an opportunity to involve you guys in some of that event creation based on the items that we have available as well. So stay tuned for some of that. Benny thumbs up looks like approval to me. Yeah, for sure. Okay. Any other updates before we jump into?
Yeah. I've got one
the
more.
role? Yep.
So we're doing some surveys at the moment, which are actually guided surveys. So we're doing, it's a bit of a test run that we do with a Vault, either on mobile or VR, and we take people through sort of certain aspects of it. So it's guided, like I said. So the big things like onboarding, loading up the avatars, blah blah blah. But it's quite in depth, and it's about really focusing on that experience, and then we basically take that away and record it, and then collate that data and make improvements from it. So it's a really good way to not just have that cursory high-level involvement, but to give actual feedback directly back to the product team and have some of this stuff actioned. And there could even be things in there that you want to change that seem subtle, but we really want to capture that data. So if anyone's interested in doing that, you probably need a good half an hour or so. Might even take a little bit longer depending on the level of detail you provide. But if anyone's interested in doing that, can you just maybe send a message to Lala? Is that okay, Lala? And then she can forward that on?
Yep, for sure. You can
Cool.
just reach out to me and I will compile it and share it over with Luke.
We just need sort of just a few more people. So yeah, we don't need tons, but if anyone's happy to do that, would be much appreciated.
Okay. Lala or any of the other team, anything else to add? Red Pill or Lala? Otherwise, we are going to jump in.
All good for me, but maybe just one add-on is basically for all the users right now. I understand that everyone's really excited about the new build. I would still like to encourage everyone to put in either suggestions or anything you're facing on Canny as well, because it's really important. We've gotten some feedback about RFOX Run, which is great, but the more you test and the more acquainted you are with the RFOX Vault, and if there are any good ideas you guys want to put in there, please make sure to add it on Canny. I think a lot of you guys do that, and if it's really good and you get the community to vote on it, I'm sure it's something that Luke and the team would love to look into. So yeah, that's it for me.
No grubs today?
Last week, the winners were number 1, 5, and 10. So they have already received their items. So next week we will have the grubs. We are rotating in terms of skill set and in terms of luck as well.
But I didn't get any.
Too bad.
Rigged.
So what we're going to do is, if we can get, we're just going to jump in again, as Ben said, into the vault. If mobiles are fine, we're not being specific about the device. So if you just got your mobile on you, that's fine. Jump in. But what it would be good to do, so we'll go to the arcade, and I think some people, I know there's some screenshots being put up there, but I think some people are calling BS on some of these RFOX Run results. And also, I think doing it under pressure when there's someone there in the room with you as well is a different thing. So maybe do a bit of that, some beer pong. But we had a lot of fun getting the staff and some of the community members in there last week. So we just thought that'd be cool to do that again. Just get some people in there, crank some music, and just have some fun.
Awesome. Thank you very much for joining, guys. Appreciate it. Stick around if you can't go in so that you can just have a look and see what it's like, and I will see the rest of you in there.